Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how you can get late payments removed from your credit report. Late payments can have a negative impact on your credit score, but not to worry. There are some strategies for disputing these. And if successful, this can get them removed from your credit report and provide a nice boost to your credit score. So let's get started and make sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to give you some tips on what to include in those dispute letters. Now, if you find this video to be helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more tips on credit. First, let's talk about late payments. So you have a bill and a due date, but for whatever reason, you didn't pay the bill on time. It's understandable because the majority of us have done it. According to a LendingTree survey, 64% of Americans have paid a bill late, whether it's a cable bill, an internet bill, a credit card bill, or a utility bill. These are the most frequently missed payments. It takes at least 30 days for late payments to be reported on your credit report, after which time they fall into one of the following categories: 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, or 150 days past due, and then charge-off status. That means that the creditor has written the debt off as a loss. With this time frame, if you make a late payment, your creditor will report it to the credit bureaus. The further past due the payment, the more your credit score will be damaged as a result. Payment history makes up 35% of our overall credit score, and it is the single factor that has the biggest impact on our credit. Late payments can lower your score by up to about 192.5 points, and a lot can change with those points. Now, the process of removing late payments from your credit report is the most significant component of credit repair. So if you can master that, you can go from having bad credit to great credit. Also, your credit score can take between 9 months and 3 years to fully recover from one single 30-day late payment, depending on how high your credit score was before the default. And it may take between 9 months and 7 years for a 90-day late payment. This is because late payments that are 90 days or longer are regarded as a key derogatory item. So even if you are already behind on your payments, you should really try to make them as soon as you can to prevent this issue from getting even worse. One thing most people don't realize is that most credit card companies will periodically run a soft credit inquiry check on you to see if you have any outstanding balances on any other accounts or if there are any signs that you are having trouble paying other creditors. So even if you've always paid your credit card balance in full and on time with them, they may reduce your available credit line or raise your interest rate or close out your credit line if they discover any past due payments with other creditors. It's awful, yet they can do this. In addition to how late the payment is, other factors that affect your credit score include the frequency of the late payments and the total amount owed. And this is why you should really try to avoid making late payments whenever you can. Let's get into it with tip number 1, which is to simply contact your creditor and ask to speak with the manager. If you have a good payment history and you've only missed a payment once, you can contact a creditor and you can ask them to remove the late payment from your credit report. Explain your situation and ask if they can make an exception. If they agree, make sure to get it in writing. Tip number 2 is to use a goodwill letter. A goodwill letter is a letter that you write to your creditor asking them to remove the late payment as a gesture of goodwill. You're very kindly asking them to remove one or more late payments by providing a very good, compelling reason as to why you missed a payment and by promising to make payments on time and in the future. Goodwill deletions only work on active open accounts that are current, which means there's no past due balance. Since the goodwill deletion is partially based on the fact that you had a prior stellar payment history, if you do have an open account and perfect payment history, but suddenly have some late payments, request a goodwill deletion of the late payments. And if you need a copy of a goodwill deletion letter, just let me know down below in the comments. So when you send a goodwill deletion letter to the creditor, don't forget you are requesting a favor from them. Again, be extremely polite. And if the main customer service address is unresponsive, send it to other departments or other people. Speaking of which, here's something else that most people don't know. You can do a search for the creditor online, including the CEO, directors, and managers. Get their contact information. There's a little known website called ceomail.com that allows you to look up a lot of these creditors and get the name and the email address of the CEO and any other executive or management team members. You can then email out your goodwill letters instead of mailing them. Now, persistence is going to be key. You may not get a response the first time or the second time or the third time. You may have to send this out a number of times, but keep sending it out until you get a response. Tip number 3 is to dispute the late payment with the credit bureau. Now, you can actually do this online, but if you do so, go directly to the dispute center for each credit bureau, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Don't go to third-party outside Credit Karma. You can also send a dispute letter via the mail. If you have a bunch of late payments on an account, it may be better to try to actually get the entire account deleted by looking for reporting errors, and only if the account is closed. And I'm going to add, if the majority of late payments are within the last 12 to 24 months, and especially if the account went into collections or was charged off. Now, here are some things to keep in mind if you decide to write a dispute letter. So when we're disputing things with the credit bureaus, they're supposed to do an investigation. The credit bureaus are going to end up doing one of 3 things. Nothing. They will correct the late payment, and sometimes this means they'll delete out the late payment, or they may delete the entire account. If an account is closed, and I'm talking about an account in good standing, it's not in collections, it's not in charge-off status, the credit bureaus may just feel that they really don't have to investigate it if it's a closed account, and so they may just delete the entire account, and you don't always want that. Here's why. With the credit scoring models, one major factor that makes up your credit score is the length of time that you've had on your account. You are actually rewarded for having long-standing credit. So say, for example, you have 2 credit cards reporting on your credit report. One is 10 years old with a limit of $2,000. The other credit card is only 2 years old, but it has a credit limit of $20,000. You're actually going to get rewarded more for the credit card that's 10 years old because of the length of payment history that's reporting. So if you have one or more late payments, while it may bring your score down a bit, if you delete that type of account that has all that payment history on it, you can actually bring your score down even more. And if that account gets deleted and you don't have a good credit mix reporting on your credit reports, then that now deleted account could really hurt your score even more. And when I say credit mix, ideally you want to have at least 2 major credit cards like a Visa or MasterCard, 1 short-term installment loan like a car loan, and 1 long-term installment loan like a mortgage or student loan. You are rewarded for credit mix. Once a closed account gets deleted from your credit report, it's extremely difficult to get that credit bureau or that original creditor to re-report the account back onto your credit report. Now, you can dispute a late payment on an open account, although I recommend doing a goodwill request. When you send a dispute letter to the credit bureau, they're supposed to investigate the late payment. They can send your letter to the original creditor and wait for the original creditor to verify or validate the late payment. If the credit bureau doesn't get a response from the creditor, then they may also delete the late payment out. But again, they could also delete the account. If an open account gets deleted, that can drastically drop your score. However, open accounts tend to re-report the following month when you make a payment because that payment gets re-reported. You can write a letter to the credit bureaus and let them know that you don't want the account deleted. You just want the inaccurate late payment deleted. You can say something like you're disputing a late payment that's reporting to your Visa card from June of 2020. Please send you the documentation that proves that you were ever late, or please provide the banking transactions and statements that would prove your payments were not accepted on time. And if you can't prove that you have proof, then please remove this late payment date from June of 2020. Do not delete the account, just the late payment that is being disputed. Again, the credit bureaus may still delete the account. I've seen this happen every so often. So you really just want to make sure that you are comfortable with what you're disputing, because there's a chance, like I said, that the credit bureau could delete the entire account, and you don't always want that. So these are 3 tips on how to get late payments removed from your credit report. Remember, it's important to have a good credit score, so make sure to pay your bills on time. If you do miss a payment, don't panic. There's a way to fix this. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more tips on credit. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.